It is time to have a very serious conversation, and I mean serious conversation about AI women.
You go on Instagram and you will already find there are fake women. They don't exist, but it doesn't matter. Many of these guys know they don't exist, but they want it anyway. How long until it's on Onlyfans? Probably already. In fact, I think the story even talks about how this woman charges people for OnlyFans. It's not real. Now, there's a lot to talk about in how AI is going to destroy the world, but there is something funny I want to bring up. Women are about to lose all of their OnlyFans income, and I don't know what they're going to do. Let me just put it this way. You know, you got that Futurama joke about don't date robots, right? Guys are already going online and wasting money by giving it to e-girls, thots, and OnlyFans. I don't know, what do you call them? Digital prostitutes. They get nothing from this, but they love doing it because it's something guys like doing.
Before we get started, guys, this right here is not going to be some video where I'm going to be pointing at men primarily, but I'm also going to be pointing at the ladies as well because, believe it or not, it actually affects them too. Now, guys, there is a video that I plan on doing here in the near future. It's going to be a relatively lengthy one about the problems that we could be seeing, the incoming crisis with men going forward. I've done a couple of videos here recently on another particular figure, which, by the way, I'll address more towards the end. Also, something else, too. This is probably going to be the only video of the day. I got a lot of things going on here, and I've added some additional acoustic panels to help set up the office itself, but yeah, I'm starting to find that some of these things are a little bit cheap, so obviously I've got to make some adjustments. So it's going to be a relatively wonky week. Also, this video was supposed to come out on Saturday, but due to some things that occurred around here, I figured it best probably to release it on Monday because I was probably not going to have the time to actually fit in everything that I wanted to fit in this video. Now, before we talk about this issue of AI ladies, let me go ahead and kind of preview this right with a clip that came from Tim Pool's news segment, which he did a bit of a segment on this, but I think there's a lot of things that he may have missed. With that right being said, let's go ahead and roll this, and I'll come back on the other side, roughly about a minute and 30 seconds, and I'll be
already pretty crazy playing some of these open world games. But with this degree of AI generation, we are years. I mean, it's already possible, to be completely honest. But within years, it's going to be perfect. Already possible to have a virtual experience where you can escape reality and just live amongst NPCs. Think about how crazy it's going to be. With these chat bots that already exist, there can be NPC characters that are pre-programmed to say, this bot is aggressive, angry, brutish. This character is loving, kind, caring, and that will dictate their personalities. You can then live effectively in this social environment constructed by you. Control time. Save, load, do unspeakable things, and then just reload the game. Ian last night on Timcast IRL mentioned that, in fact, you'll be able to call the video game on the phone. Now, what it'll probably be is there'll be a companion app to the video game that loads your save and has all of the data stored on the character, things you've said to it, its memories. So let's say you've been playing a game like Elder Scrolls 8, the newest one. And you've met in a small village, a woman, a beautiful woman. And you told her that your favorite color is blue and you like pumpkin pie and you just don't like dragons. Everything you said gets stored in a text file. You don't need a whole lot of data to store that text file. This is the memory of that NPC. You then pull up the app and say, I would like to speak with, Mary on the phone. Then you talk on the phone. And you say, what are you up to? Just churning butter in the village. We were scared a dragon maybe flying by. And then you say, oh, okay. Well, and you just talk to this bot in this video game. And that fulfills people's social interaction requirements in a rather horrifying.
Okay, now this right here is concerning for a lot of reasons because there's a lot of men out there who quite frankly can't get a woman, who can't get laid or anything. And I'm even going to tell you what I think is going to happen as a result of this towards the end of the video, because as I mentioned in the last video that I did talking about the situation with Andrew Tate and Liz Wheeler's concerns, which, by the way, I said on multiple occasions, I think that men can separate the good from the bad and they can actually see through things. They got eyes. And I think that ladies might not be giving the men enough credit here. I guess they think we're all a bunch of stupid meatheads or whatever, when that is actually not the case. I talked about that, and of course there is one more thing in that video I need to address, because people left a couple of comments and I've been asking for proof on this, but we'll get to that in a second. The thing is this right here though. when you start producing AI women, there are going to be some men out there who are lonely. You know, the types that don't, take care of themselves, the types that their arms have atrophy. They got what I like to call cigarette arms because they eat a lot of soy byproduct, which, by the way, causes a lot of estrogen. They don't really have any muscle. They're not exactly what we call appealing to any lady. And then you get the male feminist types who, let's just go ahead and be honest, these male feminists aren't really and truly feminists. They're doing their shtick because they think it'll get them laid somehow. That's the real truth about male feminists. So just figure I'd go ahead and throw that out there. And if somebody wants to get mad at me and rage in the comment section, go right ahead. I really truly don't care. You're basically crying. You're basically preaching to a very very crazy choir when you come in and you cry about me saying something like that. They're cigarette arms because, quite frankly, you could literally smoke them. They're so thin, they're atrophied. And by the way, I don't have the biggest arms in the world, but I mean, dude, they just label people who go to the gym as right wing. I know a lot of people in there, by the way, that are classical liberals that, by the way, I have conversations with that are not emasculated. They're actually trying to get themselves in shape. They're trying to prepare themselves. They don't want to be caught in very, very bad situations. Women now are going to the gym much, much more often. I'm happy that they're doing that. Women are also at the same time also learning to use a firearm in case they do get attacked, because it's more along the lines the person who's the male feminist type, the person who actually goes into a group and infiltrates. They do that really for nefarious means. I don't think they really and truly do that because they actually mean that. You may find this 0.1%, like one person out of every like 200 or 300 that may really and truly be down with that actual activity. But at the same time, though, these right here are the men who are more than likely at some point in time, or at least some people in that group, are going to realize that, wow, there's this whole AI option that I could go to with these AI tots, which, by the way, they're going to pay money for because chances are they probably already pay money on OnlyFans and they can't get laid anyways or get a woman. And now they just say to themselves, you know what, this is the next best thing. I can just go ahead and get this AI woman and live out my fantasy through her. I just spent a few minutes talking about the men. Well, let's talk about the ladies really quick, because this right here got brought up in the video, and I don't think I added this clip in, but I do need to go ahead and say this, though. How many women started OnlyFans accounts in the last few years? Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, why did you not include any type of information here in the B-roll footage? Well, the reason why I did not do that is because I think the OnlyFans thing is beginning to become, I think it's starting to backfire, especially given the fact that some of these AI tots are going to start doing OnlyFans. Now, I posted the article in here with the B-roll footage, and one of the things that the AI tot said was that they are OnlyFans. They're on Instagram. Typically, when you open up your Instagram feed, you typically get these photos of these ladies, which, by the way, it's very possible that they may not even be real themselves. A lot of these women, of course, are airbrushed. I'm pretty sure most of you guys know that there's a lot of filters out there. There's a lot of things covering up a lot of things. Some of these women, by the way, could, in fact, be extremely beautiful in real life if you ever meet them. But the thing is this right here. You're looking at images and you're looking at an extremely unrealistic view of women. So a lot of times these OnlyFans girls will use Instagram to promote their OnlyFans feed, and then they'll turn right back around and then they'll collect the $5 a month or the $20 a month, however many simps they have. However, they still got to give that cut to OnlyFans, and of course the overall income of most OnlyFans girls is not really and truly that high. It's only really the ones who actually started out at the very, very early portion and like the hottest of the hottest that actually make any money. Ladies, I'm not trying to make fun of you or anything. I'm just simply trying to say that really is where a lot of this income comes from. Now, some of these ladies, like for example, the case of the nurse in Texas, where she was doing this stuff with her husband, which by the way, like I said, I don't really condone this type of activity, and I damn sure would not want my wife doing this type of activity online. But the thing is this right here, that's a situation that's very, very rare where they may have actually used their money for the right reasons. But the problem is this right here. If they're suddenly going to get replaced and they got fired from their job for starting an OnlyFans account, by the way, there's also been ladies in the educational field, and I think there was this one police officer who actually resigned so that way she could do OnlyFans. What's going to happen to you if your job has been completely replaced by AI tots? Especially given the fact that it's basically a bubble economy, like Kevin Samuel said.
This is what this OnlyFans economy has done. It's let women with really low functioning knowledge, no high value or high ticket skills.
That's not low functioning knowledge.
Let's talk. Okay. Every time I've asked you any question about business, and you've asked me a question instead of answering. And I said, and if it's not you, eat the meat, spit out the bones. But what OnlyFans has done is it's created a bubble economy. Women are rushing to OnlyFans thinking that it's the new .com, the new real estate, and they're realizing that there is no sustainable way to project this out for over 5 years. Now, maybe you don't know that knowledge, but I do.
A lot of these girls, by the way, they went out there and bought, and I mean, they bought ridiculous amounts of stuff. Like they would buy extremely expensive cars, and you already know they didn't pay straight cash. They probably made a down payment. They've been making down payment, or they've been making payments per month. And the next thing you know, when you got about $20,000 or $30,000 that's ready to be due on that vehicle that you got to use to pay off, and you've only got maybe $1,500 in your bank account, and next thing you know, you're only getting about maybe $200 a month off this OnlyFans stuff. Next thing you know, you may have to return that car. Next thing you know, you're up the creek without a paddle, and next thing you know, all this stuff that you claimed that you were in the process of buying now suddenly becomes, I got to turn this crap in because I can't afford the payments on it. Next thing you know, you're without a job. Next thing you know, your old profession doesn't want to take you back because of the lifestyle that you led or the lifestyle that you fled for. This is a problem for the OnlyFans girls too, not just the guys. But then again, though, I'm just some dumb white guy who's sitting here in a white t-shirt with a ball cap on backwards looking like some weird amalgamation of Hank Hill. But, I mean, then again, though, what do I know? I mean, it's basic common sense. It's something that, quite frankly, people on the radical side of the left don't seem to understand, that there is this thing called common sense, which, by the way, has kept, I think, 90% of the people in this world alive just by not doing anything stupid, like what these OnlyFans girls did. And, by the way, as I've already spoken about in the previous video, 99.9% of these girls are not making the money that the much, much more higher profile girls are making. It's really not that much money, and it's almost like you're whoring yourself out there for nothing. I just figured I'd go ahead and throw that out there. Then we get to the men. Now, guys, I'm going to roll these next 2 minutes or so, and then I'm going to come back on the other side, because obviously it is a big deal when you actually think of it or think about it. And I'll tell you what's going to happen as a result of it.
They have to band together, and they adopt more collectivist approaches because they're stronger together. So what happens? People who have a harder time in life tend to be leftist. The people who have a harder time in life are the ones who are going to want to live in these digital fake realities with their fake robo-girlfriends. If you're an attractive guy and you can get the most attractive women, you don't need a robo-girlfriend, do you? Now, there'll still be a lot of dudes who choose it because even the most attractive guy may have some, strange predilections. Like I said, maybe he wants to bang an elf wizard or something. And so he goes for the elf wizard girlfriend. Fine. It will affect everybody. But the tendency will be affecting the left. So what happens? The people controlling the levers of power are more likely to be attractive, tall, successful, strong, confident, etc., because base reality is great. You want to keep your robo-girlfriend? You want to stay in your world where you're a superhero? Live in the pod. Eat the bugs. Otherwise, we take it all away. And these people will say, I will do anything you tell me. And they'll live in the pods. They would prefer to be in the matrix. The people who do this ultimately likely to be on the left. And I'll tell you why. I've talked about this in quite a bit, that conservatives tend to be more attractive. Tend to be doesn't mean absolutely. They're, of course, attractive leftists, male and female, and there are, of course, ugly conservatives, male and female. But it's actually really simple. There's been numerous studies showing that conservatives tend to be more attractive. Why? Privilege. That's what the left would say. You're an attractive guy. If you're tall, if you're chiseled, you don't really work all that hard, but you just have the good looks, life's easier. Same if you're a woman. If you're an attractive woman, life's easier. People do things for you. Everybody knows that's true. So it's easier to get a job. It's easier to sell products. It's easier to make money. And so what happens? These people say, look, I was able to pull myself up by my bootstraps. Why can't you? They tend to adopt more conservative politics. People who are men who are shorter, who are uglier, less confident, same for women, well, they have a struggle. And they say, life is
Before I comment on that, I want you to know right now, I'm not going to reveal you guys my income per month. I'm not going to reveal, just know that I don't need to ask for money. I don't really make a lot of money, but I'm in a situation, I'm kind of like mid-tier there right now, and I can survive the society that we're in, not to mention the fact that I went through the Obama economy, prior service military, and I've let's just put it this way here. I've had to go through hard times before. I know how to actually weather the storm. A lot of men out there cannot weather the storm. Most of these men who can't weather the storm are the cigarette are men that I was talking about earlier. The men whose muscles haven't really developed because they refuse to go to the gym, because going to the gym is completely right-wing. And by the way, I'm not exactly the most in-shape guy in the world, but at least I do some things to try to keep myself active and try to keep myself in a position to where if I get into a bad situation on the street, I can get myself out of it, where I can take care of myself. You got to ask yourself a question. All these men out there, and Tim was saying it would be more appealing to those on the left. I tend to think that it's probably a little bit more of a spreadsheet, because there are some men out there that are moderate and men on the right who may, I would say it actually appeals more to the leftist soy, and I would say probably the nerdy geeky type. But the nerdy geeky type needs to kind of relax, because there was something that was said to me when I was a teenager, and my God, did it turn out to turn true. You need to focus in on your school. You need to focus in on what you're doing, because someday, you, the nerdy, geeky type, is a little bit socially awkward. At some point in time, you're going to make a lot more money than the meathead types that, quite frankly, and by the way, I am one of the meatheads. I'm not saying this to make fun of anybody. I had to learn things the hard way. At some point in time, you're going to find yourself working for the nerd and the geeky type. They're going to have the money. They're going to have the success. They're going to have the nice suburban home. They're going to have the very, very nice, good-looking wife at some point in time. Now, granted, some things have changed now with the advent of social media. Some people are out there making all kinds of money, selling all kinds of things, which, by the way, I never really truly trust the salesman. I mean, it's just how I am. And, of course, some of these things are, in fact, a grift. It's one of the things about the whole liminal order thing with Jack Murphy. I never would have bought into any of that right there. I never actually bought into Pickup Gurus. It was something that I was trying to get across to in my 2 Andrew Tate videos, that I think, for the most part, he's actually more or less just a pickup guru kind of guy. A little bit murky, and as I've said before on multiple occasions, you can take the good from the bad. You can separate things. You can use your eyes and actually see, which, by the way, is something, quite frankly, the society never does. The thing with the AI bot thing, or the AI tot thing, is that you're going to have a lot of men out there who can't get a woman, who are going to then turn right back around, and what they're going to do is they're going to find themselves getting involved into this thing, and of course it's going to cause let's just say it's going to cause a lot of their life, and a lot of the possible good things in life are going to completely pass them by. Like I said, though, this is actually a very, like I said, this is going to be a very, very wonky video. It's going to go in a lot of different directions. And with that right there, we need to go back to the ladies. Do you guys remember this girl here?
Do you want to know one of the saddest realizations I recently had? As a liberal woman, it is really hard to find a man who is willing to play the more traditional masculine role in the relationship, who is not a conservative. A man who wants to pay on the first date, who wants to open your door, who has that want and desire to take care of you and to provide, who is not a conservative.
Roasted that girl because she was asking for something that, quite frankly, didn't exist. Now, I mentioned earlier that if you go to the gym, you may find like a classically liberal guy who's masculine, or maybe just the masculine type person, kind of, it's very, very rare that they're stoic or anything. But the truth is this right here. Like I said in the video that I made on her, those type of guys are very, very few and far between. The most masculine type men are typically the moderate to conservative type men. And it's not so much the fact that you got to go to the gym or work out or anything. I mean, dude, masculinity is revealed in different ways. Like, for example, when the Boy Scouts decided to basically destroy themselves, I was thinking, the biggest reason why they were destroying themselves was not so much because of the sexual scandals, which, by the way, put the cherry on top, that were there being the sexual abuse that happened in those organizations when they decided to allow gay scoutmasters. And then eventually, after a while, things just kind of went downhill. We may do a video exploring that at some point in time, because obviously young men need to be taught about masculinity at a very, very young age. Masculinity can be taught to men in the form of doing masculine things. For example, working on a car. Okay, you learn how to fix a transmission. You learn how to do oil changes. You learn how to place a tire. Things that men should know how to do. Basic maintenance around the house. Changing light bulbs, being able to handle electricity, which, by the way, is very, very difficult. I did not learn much about that till later on in life. And also other things that, quite frankly, are masculine activities, going hunting, learning how to shoot, bows, arrows, things. I mean, dude, there are a lot of masculine things you can do out there that are classified as masculine, and neither one of these radical leftists even do that. Also, other masculine traits include paying for dinner on the first date, actually taking care of your woman, taking care of your girl. This lady right here was looking for that, and quite frankly, those types of men do not exist. It creates a quagmire of problems. And as I've said in the previous couple of videos, you've already got a lot of men going to these gurus, okay? You've already got that. And I'm pretty sure at some point in time, men can obviously figure out the good from the bad. But there are going to be some out there who, quite frankly, cannot do that. I'm not saying predators or anything like that are ever going to be created. Please don't think that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is that men can separate the good from the bad, but at the same time, though, as men become more and more masculine, you've got these women who want these masculine men, but yet their political preferences don't allow them to date these masculine men. It's going to create a bit of a problem. Is this lady's will, is her will really and truly that strong? I mean, I just want to know, is it really and truly that strong? Can you really and truly live without a man? I hate to tell you this, ladies, but men can live without women, but women cannot live without men. I do 100% agree that as men get older, they actually do age a little bit more like a fine wine if they take care of themselves and if they put their lives together. That's one of the reasons why I tell a lot of young men I run into, just be a little bit patient. Don't worry, your opportunity will come, because more than likely, if you keep your head on straight, the opportunity will come. Ladies, on the other hand, I'm not so sure. I mean, there's a reason why it is that people keep having this push out there for men to date younger women. And while I look at them sometimes and say that right there might be a little bit unrealistic, the more and more I look at it now, the more and more I realize I could have been wrong. Let me explain what's probably going to happen. Right now, you have a massive pool of men age 18 to 30 who cannot get a girlfriend. You have got an economy that is in the gutter. I don't care what the White House says. When you've got men out there having to work a second or third job, and the most they're getting is 10 to 12 hours a week at that job, even though they may be getting paid $14, $15 an hour, it's not exactly doing them any favors, especially given the amount of inflation that we have and the price of gas nationwide. The economy is falling apart. So what does a man do if he is single? And especially given the fact that right now you've got a war going on between Russia and Ukraine, which, by the way, leads me to believe that we're going to have more wars. What do you think is going to happen? A lot of these young men who, quite frankly, can't get laid, a lot of these young men who don't have girlfriends, they don't have anything at home keeping them home. And it's not like married men don't join the military. Trust me, they do. But still, at the same time, though, it's a very, very small amount that actually physically go in and join. What's going to happen is that a lot of these single males are going to do what? They're going to join the military. And they're probably not going to have a choice, especially given the fact everything that's going on right now, especially is going on in the world. They go join the military, next thing you know, you're mostly around guys. What I'm saying to you is that there's not going to be as many men at home for you ladies to want to get. That leads us to another quagmire. Have you noticed that a lot of men ages like 33 to like 50 are like keeping themselves in pretty good physical shape, you know, the typical whey protein, maybe some supplements, whatever. They're doing everything they can to increase their overall testosterone count, which, by the way, a lot of these leftist type males that I mentioned earlier, cigarette people, cigarette arms, a lot of those guys don't really and truly have, they're not exactly what we call attractive, like I said before. They're not exactly the type that these women would actually want to marry. So it makes you think to yourself that there's going to be a lot more women out there, and if there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to be gone, it makes you think that maybe there's probably going to be a massive age disparity between the men and the women as we go forward. Meaning that you're probably going to see a lot of women in their mid to late 20s. And by the way, I understand that a lot of the red pill MAGTOW guys keep on saying you don't want a woman in her late 20s or a woman that's actually had a child or whatnot, and I understand their concerns, but I think you have to be realistic. If you're a man in your 30s, chances are more than likely you're probably going to meet a girl who's got a, let's just say, has probably already got a kid or so. You're going to have to go ahead and accept the fact that you're probably going to be a stepfather. I've pretty much accepted that part of my life as well, especially as I get older. I haven't been married, but I've had a lot of relationships that quite frankly fell. Some of those, of course, I mostly due to some of my immaturity. But still, at the same time, though, you got to ask yourself a question. Are you at 39, 40 years old? Are you at 35 going to get some 21-year-old girl like you've been told to go get? Is that going to happen? It's not very realistic. I mean, no matter how much you actually try to rebrand yourself or try to make changes in your life, it more than likely is not going to occur. However, what will more than likely happen instead is that you're probably going to be age 35 to 49, and you're going to find yourself getting a girl that's probably like in her mid to late 20s, and you may start a family with her. Of course, it may be her second family. I think we have to be absolutely realistic. I know it's not a popular take, but that's more than likely what's probably going to occur as a result of this right here. This is one of the reasons why I don't like doing these videos early in the morning, is because of the sunlight mist. So expect some changes, and I'll address it towards the end of the video. But the thing is this, I couldn't help myself. I had to just kind of point that out. But the thing is this right here. It's probably going to lead to a massive age disparity between husbands and wives, meaning it's probably going to be anywhere between 8 to 12, maybe even 15 years. As a matter of fact, when Kevin Samuels died, the woman he was with was like 32 years old. Not exactly a good way to go out. People think it was, but in reality, it really wasn't for him to be found like that. I'm just saying that out loud because, quite frankly, it was one of the many criticisms that were levied at him. And I even kind of thought about that, and I was like, well, at least he went out like a G. And then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, this guy's early days, he talked about the family and stuff. I mean, is it really and truly that good of a look to go out that way? But basically, what I'm saying is this right here. It's going to lead to a disparity in the overall age gap, which makes you also wonder if there's going to be a disparity amongst servicemen who do their 4 years in the United States Marine Corps, get out, and next thing you know, they find themselves going to the bar, and next thing you know, they find themselves hooking up with cougars like crazy. Because a lot of these women dig this thing. It just makes you wonder if a marriage is ever going to last when you actually sit back and think on it. Because most relationships is typically there's typically a 1 to 4 year disparity between the man and the woman. Those marriages tend to work out. The marriages that are like 7 to like 10 or 7 to 12 typically don't tend to work out, but then again, though, who knows? Basically, what I'm saying is that you're going to have a situation where a lot of men age 33 to maybe 50 who have just now gotten their life together and their success, they're probably going to start marrying women that are anywhere between 24 to, I'd say, probably 31. I'm just throwing it out there as a big-time possibility because if these men continue to not get laid or continue to find women, the only future that they have, especially in an extremely bad economy, is right there in the military. And some men, of course, are probably going to, turn, I can't really say it here on the platform, and then you're going to have a lot of men out there who just, quite frankly, ain't going to have anywhere to turn except maybe AI. That's the problem that you're going to have. I know it took me a while to get there, but I wanted to go ahead and list all the problems that could happen before I actually got to that point. The next thing that you have is then you have a lot of women age 24 to say 30 who quite frankly can't find a man or complain about not being able to get a man or holding a man. Next thing you know, they're going to start looking a lot more for security. So they're going to try to find the best looking options of what is left, which is, by the way, going to leave a lot of men age 33 to 49 who've either been married once or twice or not been married at all. They're going to end up with the ladies. I just figured I'd go ahead and throw that out there. That right there is more than likely the future that lies ahead. And the AI thing, which, by the way, is very, very concerning, is going to be the only option left for the cigarette boys. Or the soy boys. I'm just going to call them cigarette boys because their arms are, like I said, like cigarettes. I mean, I did mention Hank Hill earlier.
It's not easy to admit we're weak.
You're calling me weak? Look at your little birdie arms. They're no thicker than a cigarette. I could smoke them little arms.
Guys, this was a relatively lengthy video, and I didn't mean for it to be this long, but I do want to go ahead and address two things. Number one, videos like this right here, I'm going to try to do on the other side of the house because even though you've got the acoustic panels back here, which I've put up, which by the way is not, the entire wall is not entirely full or anything. I mean, there's a reason for that because I wanted to use it for the video essays, which is primarily what this is going to actually help influence the sound. However, this side over here is kind of blotchy. The acoustic panels I bought, they ended up being... let's just say they weren't exactly of a high quality. So I've got to do some patchwork here. So if it looks a bit patchy over the next few weeks, there's a reason for that. And the other thing I wanted to address was the last video I did, which was on Andrew Tate. There's a little clip in there that I had put in there from a content creator by the name of Ubersoy. Now, I'm not going to play the video again because of the language, but I'll link the video in the description box. It's roughly right around 20 minutes to the video that the clip is played. I had a couple of guys say that it was AI generated. I'm not so sure about that. Now, I did say in that video that it's very possible he could have been joking, like amongst bros, just running his mouth. But a couple of guys obviously took this very serious and thought that it was AI generated. And my response to you is this right here. Can you provide proof? Because I can't find proof anywhere on the internet that it was an AI generated clip. I just figured I'd toss that out before I end the video. Guys, make sure you guys like that. Make sure you guys like this video. Also hit the subscribe button if you guys are new to the channel. Let's make the channel grow. Hit the notifications bell. Also share the video. Please comment on the comment section. I'd love to get you guys' thoughts on this, whether they're positive or negative. And I'll see you guys later.